Hello, welcome to this episode where we shall be looking at the preparation for the grade 8 mathematics paper 1 for the end of year examination. Okay, so within paper 1, there is a couple of topics that we need to highlight that we can expect. Number 1 is what we call the whole numbers. Okay, under the whole numbers, you find the LCM, the HCF, we have the ratios, and then we also have the finance or the financial maths. We can also have proportions. Okay, besides the proportions, we also have the properties of whole numbers, the distributive, associative, commutative, and all of those things. Topic number 2 is what we call the integers, the positive and negative whole numbers. Then we have the fractions, okay, both decimal as well as the common fractions. Then from there, we have the exponents. And then from the exponents, we have the number patterns, okay, number patterns. Then we have the algebraic expressions, okay. And then we also have the algebraic equations. And then lastly, we can have our functions and relationships. Okay, so basically, those are the topics that comprise paper 1. So let's just use this as a revision guide. So to see how would people or how would learners have fared within this paper. So they're telling us we have 11 questions. So let's push and see. Question number 1. They are showing us so we must answer the multiple choice. Only write the answer. Let's say B. Okay, in that case. Section A, we have 10 questions. Okay, which one of the following represents an irrational number? So irrational numbers are basically numbers that cannot be written as fractions. Examples, the square root of non-square numbers. Okay, if the number that is under the square root is not a perfect square, then that number becomes irrational. So this is rational, it can be written as a fraction. This is rational, it can be written as a fraction. Square root of 9, we can find it, but we cannot find the square root of 40. So A is the correct answer there. And then which one of the following numbers represents a rational? A rational is basically a number that can be written as a fraction. Square root of 2 out, root of 10 is out. Can we find the square root of 25? Yes, it becomes a 5, and 5 can be written as a fraction, which is 5 over 1. So B is the best option. They want us to choose the correct answer. We are multiplying, and we know that multiplication is commutative as well as associative. So is it the same as 30 times 4 times 2? This is out. This one is also out. This one is out. There is no plus sign there. So the correct option is C for the commutative property. And then which of the following is the multiplicative inverse of this? So before we even get to the multiplicative inverse, let's try to change this number or this fraction into improper. So it's a negative. We have 5 times 2 plus 4 over 5, which is a 14 over 5 negative. When you talk of multiplicative inverse, it's like you're switching and these numbers around. Okay, so which number do we multiply with this to give us a positive 1? So it's going to be a negative 5 over 14. So my option B is what I feel will be the best answer there. So this is additive inverse. To give you a 0. Multiplicative inverse must always give you a positive 1. Then which one of the following is the corrective value of this? So we know that this is 2 to the 2 times 3 to the 3. Everything is squared. Okay, so that's going to be the same as 2 to the exponent of 4 times 3 to the exponent of 6. This is out. All these numbers are out because we cannot multiply 2 and 3 at the same time because their exponents are different. So when I punch this into the calculator, 2 to the 4 times 3 to the 6 I get 11664. So option A becomes the best answer there. 1.6, choose the correct answer for the value of A. So where is A? A is here. So you're going to use the inverse operation. So 7 minus 1 is going to give us a 6. 6 divided by 2, which becomes a 3, positive, which is B. 1.7, consider the pattern with a constant ratio. So from 8 to 4 to 2, which means we are dividing by 2. Then they want us to get the value of x, but the question doesn't tell us. Anyway, so when you divide by 2, you're going to get a 1. Divide by 2, we end up with a half. So 1 over 2 is the answer there for x. Then one of the highest degree of x in the algebraic. So in other words, they want us to find the degree of the expression. So degree of the expression is the highest exponent, which is degree 3. Okay. Then the value of x in the equation. So we need to move the 9 that side. So x squared is going to be a 9. So which number do we square to give us a 9? So it can be a negative 3 or it can be a positive 3. Okay. So answer B will be the best option then because it's one of them. And then lastly, graph below shows the percentages of people who receive the distress grant. The total number of all the provinces was this much. Okay, so we're seeing percentages, Eastern Cape, Free State, Gauteng, KZN, and so on and so forth. They're telling us the greatest number of distress grant in one of the 9 provinces, rounded off to the nearest whole number is. So we know that the highest percentage is this 21.4. So if I say 21.4 over 100 multiplied by 11457,005, what do we get? Okay, so we say 11457,005. So I'm getting 2451799,07. So you round this off the nearest whole number. I'm just going to have 2451799, which is option C. All right, then section B. They're telling us that consider the two numbers, 96 and 448. They want us to find the LCM and HCF of these two numbers. Now, what we're going to do is very simple. We need to find the prime factors of 96, okay? Break down the 96 using just prime numbers. So 48 is a 24, that's a 12, by 2 is a 6, by 2 is a 3, and then by 3 is a 1. So how many 2s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 3. And then 448, okay, I'm just going to use the calculator. Shift factorization, I'm getting 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. Those are 6, then times 7. Now, when you're looking for the HCF, which is the highest common, just look for numbers that are the same. So since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s, the 5 2s will also be covered, okay? That is what is common. The rest are not common, meaning that it's just going to be 2 to the exponent of 5, which is a 32. So the HCF becomes 32. Okay. And then if we want to find the LCM, get the HCF that we have, then multiply by the numbers that were not used. So times 2, times 3, times 7. Okay. So that's going to be 32 times 2 times 3 times 7, which gives us 1,344. Okay, so that gives us the answer to that particular question. Then we move on to 2.2. A certain distance is covered in 3 hours at a speed of 120. how long will it take to cover the distance at an average speed of 90? So step number 1, we need to also find the distance before we can find the time. Okay. Okay, so what we're saying is that 3 hours at 120. Okay, so he's saying the time is 3 hours, the speed is 120. So we know that distance, okay, speed is distance over time. So the distance must be speed times the time. So 120 multiplied by 3, it gives us 360 kilometers. But now, the second scenario is telling us that if we have 90 kilometers per hour, how long? So t is what we need if the speed is 90. The distance is still the same as 360. So time is going to be distance over the speed. So it's 360 divided by 90, which gives us a good 4 hours. All right. Then 2.3 norm says father wants to buy a new car. He can afford to pay 35,000 deposit. If all cars were sold at 20% deposit, what would be the price of the car that he can afford? So if this is a deposit, so it's like 20 over 100 multiplied by a certain amount should give us 35,000. Okay, for us to get this x, it's going to be the 35,000 multiplied by 100 and then divide by 20. Alternatively, you can say that if 20 is equivalent to 35,000, then how about 100? So it's like you're going to multiply this by 5. So 35,000 times 100 divide by 20, I'm getting 175,000. Then after paying the deposit, calculate the total amount that this person will still have to pay. So if you've paid 35,000 out of the 175, how much will be left? That is now like 80% of the amount. So that's going to be 140. So 175,000 minus the 35,000, that gives me 140,000. And then if the interest is 10% per annum, calculate the monthly payment if you signed a hire purchase agreement for 48 equal monthly installments. So if we have simple interest, because hire purchase deals with simple interest, this is going to be 140,000. 1 plus, this is a 10 over 100. How many years are there in 48 months? It's basically 4 years. Okay, so we punch this into the calculator and see. So 140 into 1 plus 10%, and then times 4. That is going to be 196,000. So for us to get the monthly payment, you're going to get the 196,000 divided by 48. Okay, and then this gives us 4083.33. So 4,000 rands and that much for every month. All right, that is question number 2. Question number 3, copy and complete. So we have 3 times 7 plus 5 times 7. So this is the distributive property. Okay, someone will say, but now why are you putting the 7 like that? There we go. Then simplify the following. We must show the calculations. So the cube root of this much. So we need to simplify what is inside of the square root. No? Because it's a negative and a negative, mean that's going to be the cube root of 125 minus 3 plus the square root of 16 divided by 2 squared. So the cube root of is a 5 minus 3 plus the square root of 16 is a 4. You're dividing by 2 squared, which is 2 by 2, which is a 4. Body mass, we start with division. So 4 divided by 4 is going to be a 1. So 5 minus 3 plus a 1. What's 5 minus 3? That's a 2. 2 plus 1 is going to be a 3. So that becomes the final answer. All right, and then 3.3, you need to solve this equation. So with solving equations, move the numbers to one side, leave the unknowns on one side. So 3 over 2x is equal to 6 plus 4. So 3 over 2x becomes a 10. And then do the cross multiplication, meaning that 3 times x, or 3x times 1, and then 2 times 10, which is a 20. And then if we are to look for x alone, we're going to divide 20 by 3. So I would prefer to leave it in that sort of format because there is no other way. Okay. Now, from that question, we have question 4, which is the common fractions. And these common fractions, they want us to simplify this, the cube root of all of that. So we need to start by what is inside. So whenever you have a root sign, treat whatever is inside the root sign just as a bracket. Okay. So if I'm treating it as a bracket, I'll have the cube root. We know that 1 over 3 squared is the same as 1 over 9 plus 1 over 3 cubed is going to be 1 over 27, but we are multiplying by 5, so it's going to be like 5 over 27. Then whenever we have fractions and we need to add them, we can use the crisscross method, meaning that it's the cube root. What is 1 times 27? It's 27. 9 times 5 is a 45 over 9 times 27. Someone would say, why don't you find the LCD to be a 27? That's also, an alternative. Okay, but this is also, I think that is the best. But let me go with this approach since I've already started. Okay, so that's the cube root. What is 27 plus 45? That gives me 72, okay, over 243. So if I simplify this, 243, I'm getting 8 over 27. So the cube root of 8 over 27. Cube root of 8 is a 2. Cube root of 27 is a 3. So that's the answer. Someone will say, alternatively, if you have 1 over 9, so multiply this by 3, multiply by 3. So that you have 3 over 27 plus 5 over 27. Denominators are the same. You must add the numerators. Okay, and then you end up with a 2 over 3. All right, so that is that. Then we look at the next question, 4.2. The price of petrol per liter is set to increase by 6% the next month. The current price is 28.24. What is the new price? So meaning that we're going to have the price to be at 6% plus 100, which is 106%. Okay, so I'll say 106 divided by 100 multiplied by the 28.24. Okay, that is one way, okay, of how to do it. Alternatively, okay, let me just divide this first. This is 28.24, and I end up with a 29.93 rands. So alternatively, what we're saying is that get 6%, 6 over 100 times the 28.24, and then this amount, you must add the 28.24. It should give you more or less the same answer. 4.3, Apio receives pocket money of 500 rands daily. Wow. He spends as follows: 23 over 200 of it on fat cakes, and then 273 over 500 of it on the cell phone data, and then 56 over 200 of it on drinking juice. Determine the amount of pocket money that is left unused. So there are two ways to this, okay? If you go the route of getting the fraction that is unused, it's going to take some bit of time, okay? Rather, let's get the proportion of everything that is spent, okay? So if we have 23 over 200 times 500, so how much will be spent on the fat cakes? Does it make sense? I believe it should make sense. It should make sense. So 23 over 200 times 500. That gives us 57,5. Those are just fat cakes. And then the soft one, we have 273 over 500 times a 500 over 1, which gives us 273. And then for the data, 56 over 200 times 500. Okay, 56 over 200 multiplied by 500, which is a 140. So when we add up everything there, it's going to be a 273 plus a 140 plus a 57,5. Let's see if the magic is going to work. 57,5, which becomes 470,5. Now, what is left is 500 minus 470,5. What do we get? We are getting a 29,5. So only 29 rands and 50 cents will be left. All right, 5.1, which is the decimal fractions, they want us to multiply. Okay, so one thing we know is that whenever we have decimals, the easier way is to change this to common fraction. So that's a 35 over 100 times, this is going to be 5 still over 100. Then let's multiply the top part. 35 times 5 gives us 175. 100 times 100 gives us 10,000. And then when you divide this, you're going to end up with 0, nope. It's not going to make sense there because we have two numbers, which is 4 numbers. So 0,0175 should be our final answer. All right, so that is that. Then 5.2, we need to change this to common fractions. Okay, so we know that the cube root of 1 over 8 is 1 over 2. The square root of this, that's the same as 4 over 100 under square root, which is going to be a 2 over 10. The cube root of that, that's 125 over 1,000, which is like a 5 over 10. Plus, now we have this again, which is a 2 over 10. So we can make the denominator the same as a 10. So it's going to be times 5 times 5. So I have a 5 over 10. Okay, plus a 2 over 10, plus a 2 over 10, minus a 5 over 10. So meaning that this 5 over 10 cancels the 5 over 10. I am left with 2 over 10 plus 2 over 10, which becomes a 4 over 10, which is 0,4. 5.3, a car is on sale for this. If the deposit is this much paid, determine the percentage of deposit. So you get the 13245,62 divided by the total amount of the car. And then you multiply by 100. Okay, so if that is done, what percentage do I get? So 13245,62. We are dividing it by 108,290.89. That gives me, did I make a mistake? It's a 290, meaning that I have 12,2%. All right, then question number 6, which is the exponents. Solve the following exponential problems without a calculator. The cube root of negative 27 is a negative 3. Square root of 64 is 8 times the 4 squared is going to be a 16 with that negative. We are dividing by 2 cubed, which is 8. Let's apply our BODMAS division first. So negative 3 plus 8 times. We know that negative 16 divided by 8 is going to give us a negative 2. Okay. The negative 3, this positive 8 and a negative 2 is going to give us a negative 16, meaning that our final answer should be a negative 19. Okay. So if that is a negative 19, we need to look at the next part. Now, why am I leaving this as a negative 16? Because the 2 is just on the 4. If there was a bracket here like that, then the answer is going to be a positive 16. All right, 6.2, multiply this. Bases are the same. You add up the exponents. So it's x cubed divided by the cube root of 8 is a 2. And then 9 divided by 3 is going to be x cubed. When you divide this, x cubed over 2x cubed, the x cubes will cancel, and then you'll be left with just 1 over 2. Okay. 6.3, represent the following tall number or tall numbers, okay, in scientific notation, and write the correct inequality sign between them. So we know that 17,320,000 is smaller than 59 million. So in scientific notation, we're going to say 1,732 times 10, okay? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? To the exponent of 7 is greater than, that is 3, 6, and 7. So it's 5,907 times 10 to the 7. Did I say that? No. No. I think that is true, but my symbol is wrong because 17 million is smaller than 59 million, so it's going to be less than. Okay, so arrange the following in ascending order, so from the smallest to the biggest. The exponents are the same, okay. So the smallest number here is going to be 1,025, followed by, is that true? Arrange the numbers in ascending order. Which one is the smallest? I feel like that this is the smallest because it's going to be 1025, 1205, 0. That's going to be a 0. 11250. It's going to be 125 with 2 zeros. Okay, then it makes sense. This is 12,500. Okay. Let's erase this first and do the correct thing. Okay, 12,500, 10, 250, 12, 11. So 1,025 times 10 to the 4 is the smallest. Followed by, we have 11, which is 1,125 times 10 to the 4. Followed by the 1,205 times 10 to the 4. And then lastly, 1,25 times 10 to the 4, if it is ascending order. If it was descending order, then it was going to be the other way around. All right, simplify this. What is the square root of 25? That's a 5x squared multiplied by 1 over 5. When exponent is negative, then it becomes a fraction. Anything the exponent of 0 must always be 1. So we're going to have 5x squared over 5. Which means the answer is just x squared. 7.1, extend the patterns. If this is 80, you subtract a 4, you get 76. We subtract, what are we subtracting? Is it a 5? Because 80 minus 4 is 76. Minus 5 is 71. And then minus 6 is 65, which means it's a minus 7. Minus 7 is going to give me a 58. And then minus 8 is going to give me a 50. Okay. Then when I look at this pattern, it's a 3, 1, 6, 2, 9. So it's 2 patterns in one, if I'm to look at it nicely. Because it's a 3, 6, 9, 12. This is 1, 2, 3. I'll have a 4 as my next pattern. Then study the patterns below. Okay. They want us to draw the 4th and the 5th. So these are basically, okay, so that is gonna be the fourth with 4 columns. And then fifth, we're gonna have 5 columns. Okay, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so that is how it is. Then they want us to get the values of A and B. So if the position is 10, what's 10 times 3? That's gonna be a 30. And then which number gives us a 66? So 66 divided by 3, which is going to be a 22. So A is a 30, B is a 22. All right, then 7.3, we have this pattern of the tables being arranged together, and then they want us to work out the rule to find the 22nd term. Hint, the rule should be an equation. So this question, I find it to be a little bit vague. What that means is we don't know whether the question is focusing on the number of tables or the number of people that can sit around the tables. But let's say we're focusing on the number of people. So that will be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, what's happening? We are basically adding two people. So what's going to be the rule? It's going to be 2n. What is 4 minus 2? It's going to be a plus 2. Okay, so this is the rule we're going to be using. Then they want us to find T22. So 2 times 22 plus 2, which is a 44 plus 2, which gives us a 46. So that's what the question wanted. Question number 8, which is the algebraic expression, given that x is this, and then y is that, find the numerical value of this. So we do the substitution. So 3 multiplied by negative 3 squared plus 4 times negative 3 times 4. So negative 3 squared is like negative 3 times negative 3, which gives us a 9. Now 9 times 3 is going to be a 27. And then 4 by 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is going to be a 48, but with a negative, because it's a negative and a positive. Okay, so what is 27 minus, am I doing the right thing? By saying 16 times 3 is 48. Okay, so what is 27 minus 48? Becomes a 21 with a negative. Okay, then simplifying the algebraic expression, for as long as you're dividing, do the splitting. 6x cubed over 2x, 2x squared over 2x, and then 4x over 2x, same denominator. So 6 divided by 2 is a 3. This we're going to be left with x squared because we have more x's on top and just one x. 2 and the 2 will cancel to a 1, then 2 x's will reduce 1x, and then 4 divided by 2 is going to be a 2. This x cancels that x. Then 8.3. Okay, how do we simplify this? So we need to sort out what is under this root sign and then also simplify this. One thing we know is that whatever is under the root sign makes what we call the like terms. They have the same letters and the same exponents. So we know that 64 plus 36, that's 100. So it's going to be like square root of 100, x to the 24, minus 16, x to the 24, plus, and then we simplify that. So what's the square root of 100? That's basically a 10. And then when it comes to these exponents, if it's a square root, divide it by 2. If it's a cube root, divide it by 3. So x to the 12 minus square root of 16 is a 4, x to the 12 plus 2 and 2 is going to be a 4. And then 6 times 2 is going to be a 12. So this can cancel this. Since this one is negative, that's positive. So that our final answer is x to the 12 and the 10. All right, then question 9, which is the algebraic equations. We have this, copy and complete the table. Okay, so if x is negative 1, we substitute negative 3 times negative 1 minus 7. So 3 minus 7, which is a negative 4. Okay. And then what's going to give us a negative 13, I think it's going to be a 2. Because it's going to be negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. Minus 7 is a negative 13. Alternatively, use the inverse operation, where you will say negative 13 plus 7, which is a negative 6. When you divide it by negative 2, you end up with, what am I doing? When you divide it by negative 3, you end up with a 2. Okay, and then with C, inverse operation again, negative 58 plus 7 gives us negative 51. Divide by negative 3, we get a 17. So C is a 17. So these are the answers that the question wanted. And the 9.2, solve for x if we have this. So step number 1, you need to open the brackets. Okay, so it's going to be 2x minus 2 plus 3 is equal to 3x. Okay, 2x, then that. Collect the like terms. This is 2x plus 1 is equal to 3x. Let's move this 2x that side. It's going to be 3x minus 2x, meaning that x should be just a 1. Then determine 8 to the x plus 3 if 3 times 3 to the x minus 1 gives us a 0. How do we sort this out? Okay. So what we're going to do, if we use this, it's going to be 3 to the x plus 1 because this 3 has exponent 1 here. Let's move the 1 that side equals to 1. And we know that for us to get a 1 with a base of 3, the exponent needs to be a 0. So 3 to the 0. Drop the bases, meaning that x plus 1 is a 0, meaning that x needs to be a negative 1. But we want the value of this. So go to the 8, replace x with a negative 1 plus 3. This becomes 8 squared, which is a 64. And then question 10, functions and relationships. We have these equations. They want us to find a, b, and c. Let's substitute again. So negative a half, negative 3 squared minus 2. So negative 3 squared gives us a 9. So it's going to be a negative 9 over 2 minus 2. Okay. When I punch this into the calculator, I'm getting negative 13 over 2. Okay. They're telling us that C has 2 values. Okay, we shall find that. So A is negative 13 over 2. And then with B, negative a half times negative 1 squared minus 2. So any negative number squared gives us a positive, so it's negative a half minus 2. Okay. Saying negative a half minus 2, which is negative 5 over 2, which is negative 2,5 or negative 5 over 2. And then with C, we use the inverse again. So it's going to be negative 4 plus 2, which is a negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative a half, which gives us a 4. And then we must find the square root of 4, which is a positive or a negative 2. So C becomes positive or negative 2. So that is how we were supposed to work that question out. All right, so we have question 10.2, study the table below, then determine the general rule. This is a flow diagram, it's not a table. Like, what do they want? Or ask the question asking for, because now they want the equation in terms of x and y. It doesn't make sense, does it? Nope. Because we already have the equation, which is this. Okay, let's find the unknowns, maybe. So it's going to be negative 2 times 5 squared minus 3. So that's going to be a 25, which is a negative 50 minus 3. This one becomes a negative 53. And then if we use inverse operation to get b, so negative 165 plus 3 gives us a negative 162. You divide this by -2, it's going to give us 81, meaning that n squared is 81, you find the square root. So B is a plus or minus 9. Okay, then the graphs, the last question they're telling us below is a graph showing the number of accidents at an intersection during a particular year. All right. Then 11.1.1. Is this graph linear or non-linear? What do you think? So since the graph is not a straight line, it's just a broken line, we shall call it non-linear, okay? So which month has the least number of accidents? So least means the lowest number of accidents. The lowest numbers can be seen here. So they want the month, which is Feb. Okay, and then which month has the highest number of accidents? And we must explain why we think so. So the month is December, okay? And why do we have a lot of accidents in December? So number one, we can say it is a festive season, okay? It's always a festive month. Let's call it a season. Or some people will say it's a holiday season, and people seem to be careless. All right, then copy and complete the table. We have this equation. So if x is -4, say -4 plus 2, which is 4 plus 2, which is a 6. If x is a 0, y is going to be a 2. If x is a 5, so -5 plus 2, which gives us a -3. Then they want us to draw the graph. So from this, we know that the ordered pairs are going to be -4 and a 6, 0 and a 2, and then we have 5 and -3. Okay, so we just have this Cartesian, so we can say that this is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and probably a 5. -1, -2, -3, -4, maybe -5. Moving upwards, we can have this as a 2, a 4, this as a 6, and 8. -2, -4, -6. All right, so let's connect the dots. So when x is -4, y is a 6. X is -4, y is a 6, somewhere there. When x is 0, y is a 2, which is that point. When x is a 5, y is a -3. So -3 is between 2 and 4, which is somewhere there. So those are the 3 points we have. What does the question want? They want us to draw a graph on the grid provided. So all we have to do is just connect with our rulers. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't have a ruler, but I'll try. This must be some sort of a straight line. Okay, so that is the kind of graph that the question would have anticipated for. All right, guys, thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of this paper. I wish you guys all the best in your preparation and in your exams. Let's meet again in our discussion for paper 2. Good luck.